The highest grossing A-starer of all time. Animal has gratuitous violence, misogyny, multiple bad characters. There are calls for it to be banned. Has Sandeep Reddy gone where even Ram Gopal Varma has feared to tread?
See, there are 2 points to it, what you're asking me. See, one is, I don't think I've ever done something anywhere near. See, though I might have made realistic films and things, I still pretty much followed a template. Like there is a hero, there's a good, there's a bad, there's a villain, and there is a certain moral aspect to it. I think more or less, if you take my first film, Shiva or Company or Sarkar, all of them had that. What Sandeep has done, I think he just destroyed that. He just threw it into the trash can, to be more correct. So now the question is whether that should be done, whether that should have been done, or is it correct to do that? Is the whole point, because most of the time human beings, they want to be in a comfort zone. They just follow what they've been told at a certain point of time. When someone suddenly steps aside or takes a U-turn or comes in an opposite direction, it disorients you, kind of that is what a rebel does. If someone is fighting the establishment, he's called a rebel, and Sandeep Reddy is that.
Right.
So I think which is the reason why, like what you were mentioning, there's so much of divided opinion. People who love animal, people who hate animal, people are calling to have criminal action against the director. Some people are going to that extent, and today I heard some member of parliament also has raised an objection. But all that proves one point. Why? What proves that point is, like the filmmaker Adrian Lyne said, a really effective film is not about being liked or disliked. It should be discussed, debated, and argued about in terms of both support and anti this thing. That is what, and I don't remember the last time a film has done.
Right.
Now the interesting point is all the people who are talking, they could be just in maybe a couple of hundred, or maybe if you don't take all the tollers into account, But the film's tremendous box office is proving, one is it has got the disadvantage of too long a film, and then which is eating into show timings, which means lesser number of shows, and then there's a certificate, and violence generally is believed by the film industry that it will keep the family audience off the theaters. Against all those odds, if it is more or less going to be the biggest hit of all time, the way the numbers and the speed at which it is going, now the interesting question is, Sandeep has made the film for the audience and they seem to be loving it. Now, who are the couple of hundred people who have a problem with that? That is the point.
But I read your, and that's true. It's an adult-rated film, and it's the highest-grossing adult-rated film of all time in the industry.
Not even highest-rated adult film of all time. It is for sure going to cross every film what you mentioned just now.
Right.
The collections are going to cross all that. It's not just about. It is a hit in A. It is a hit in UA, U and everything.
Right. I was in college when Shiva came out, and we all remember, we were all looking at each other when the character bends down and picks up that cycle chain, and the kind of violence that we saw over there. And then many years later, when we saw Satya, I remember the best review of Satya came from a friend of mine in UP, where he says that, Bhai, he's got the sound of the gunshot absolutely right. Guns to aise bachte. Tack, it's never dishke, it's tack. And then you have a film like this, which is like a Quentin Tarantino moment. Isn't this a Quentin Tarantino moment that Bollywood is going through?
Yeah, I would probably the nearest, but I would also somewhere put even Scorsese in that, because for me, the protagonist, the last time I saw a character with the director himself is not being judgmental about his Wolf of Wall Street, of Leonardo DiCaprio's character, where is immoral, this is bad, but yet you're fascinated to see him for the whatever time is on the screen. So I would like to think it's a mix of Scorsese and Tarantino.
Right. And now you have Swanand Kirkare, who said that this film will determine the future of Indian cinema afresh in a different, terrible and dangerous direction. Why? I mean, the difference between all the other films that we've mentioned is this character is evil. I mean, and I think one of the titles that Sandeep Reddy was discussing for this was, I think it was called Devil or Demon or something like that. So this fascination with a morbid character like this.
I mean, I don't know if the word morbid I would agree with, but see, the whole point here is there are two things. Art is eventually a reflection of society,
Right.
you know, and it can be one way, like art follows life, or life follows art, the age-old thing which goes on. Now, I have a problem with what Swan said. See, the point is, who is going to you make a film? For example, one of the most successful films of all time is Sholay.
Yeah.
Now, people loved Gabbar Singh. They saw it multiple times, mainly for Gabbar Singh during those days. Now, Gabbar Singh is evil. He cuts off the cop's hands. He kills the massacres of family.
Yeah.
Which basically means you're creating an entertainment. No one really takes a film seriously to emulate it, which I think is nonsense.
Right.
See, like, it's not like when you saw Mad Max, nobody started bloody going on bikes in high speed and getting killed in accidents.
Yeah, but
Sholay is the biggest hit. No one became a dacoit. Just because Satya did work, no one became a gangster. So I think it's like a stupid argument to say that a film can influence.
Yeah, but you
At
know,
the most, it can influence in emulating a hairstyle, emulating some clothes.
Right.
Not the context, or the content,
Ramuji, the line that cinema often mirrors society. Now, just last Friday, exactly a week ago, you have a fairly well-made film on Sam Manekshaw. He's an iconic Indian soldier. That film makes just 38 crore. It's a good, well-made film, very well regarded, 38 crore. And you have a film on a toxic gangster that makes 500 crore. So what is the cultural shift that this cinema is,
I personally don't
signifying?
think there's been a shift. See, always, a film is supposed to create an emotion, and it to provoke an emotion which is real and within all of us, which is not what patriotism is. Patriotism is an emotion which is thrust upon us for a social purpose.
Right.
Violence, fear, or fascination or an excitement, they are very instinctive things, which is there in everyone. Like there's a dialogue in Company, is har aadmi ke andar ek rakshas hota hai.
Yeah.
And waqt aane par wo bahar aata hai. So the basic point is he catered to that. Like, why are people fascinated with scandals and violence and terror attacks? When you take up a newspaper, nobody reads about the GDP growth and what's happening in terms of you're more interested in the atom bomb compared to what the Baba Atomic Research Center does.
Right.
So that's instinctive in human beings because they're primarily animals,
Right.
But it is our upbringing, fear of law, discipline of religion or our society and all that, we kind of curb it and we keep it hidden inside. We won't even say to ourselves that animal exists. Right. And what Sandeep has done, he just kind of left it open.
But
yes, now
Ramuji,
it is true. Yeah.
Now, about patriotism, Gadar also was a huge hit, right? Made over 500 crore, and that also kind of appealed to the patriotic sentiments. So
but I don't agree that it is hit because of the patriotism. I don't think films work on concepts. The films work on the engaging power of whether it's the actors or the scenes or whatever. Like there could be some other film where probably talks against patriotism, even that can work. That we don't know. For example, in Telugu, N.T. Ramarao did a film which actually made Kauravas the hero and Pandavas the villains, and that is a blockbuster hit in 1980s. So I think it is about the conviction of the director and the way he presents, which kind of convinces the audience, is which makes a film a hit.
This was Ramuji. This was
back to the example.
Danveer Karna, right? NTR's film where Karna is Danveer Karna. I've seen that. Yeah, it's a great film. Yes. He plays multiple roles in that.
News9 Plus. Download now.